Golden Age of piracy refers to the period from about the 1670s or 1680s into the early 18th century, about 1720, when pirates, among others, participated in attacks on settlements and ships in both the Caribbean and in what they called the South Sea, which is kind of the Pacific side of Central America. It starts off with a lot of activity, particularly directed toward the Spanish. It continues to focus mostly on the Spanish, but eventually it becomes somewhat of a free-for-all, and anyone could lose their ships in the Caribbean. So that period ends when various imperial powers decide they're going to seriously suppress sea rovers, and they do so with the navies and by arresting these people and executing some of them. Flags are very interesting because they identify you as belonging to a particular group, and so every country has its flag, and if you're flying that flag, then you're supposedly allowed to come into a particular port or not allowed to come into a particular port. So sometimes they'll use kind of semi-illegally to fool people. So you fly one flag, they get up close to you, and then you change your flag or whatever. The black flag was meant to intimidate people. Is meant to identify you as a pirate ship. You probably would not sail around with it since you're trying to not get captured by any kind of imperial officials that are looking for you, but you might hoist it when you came to threatening somebody, because what you really want is for them to give up. You do not want to destroy what they have, you want to take it. So if you can scare them into capitulating with the flag, they're useful for that. In the early period, the most important one was Port Royal, Jamaica, after the English took it from the Spanish. It has a large natural harbor, and it was the big center until it fell into the ocean in the 1692 earthquake. People elsewhere said it fell into the ocean because it was the wickedest city in the world, and God was punishing the people who lived there. Some of the more dramatic and well-known ones are Teach, Edward Teach, whose Blackbeard is active in that period. Blackbeard is famous, of course, because of his beard and his tendency to put lighted match in his beard. So he was said to terrorize. But Teach would stick these lighted matches into his big beard and then light them all and, come upon a ship and scare people just as a result of how he appeared. So he's kind of famous for that. Well, I realize this character is the kind of recognizable figure from the game. He's not dressed so much as I imagine a pirate would dress, although I gather some of the elements like the hood and the armor are just part of his signature. I do think the kind of strapping on of the guns across the chest, I've seen that in early modern representations of pirates. And these little short flintlock guns are probably pretty available and common. The sword is probably more important though. Sword play would have been big. There's 3 kinds of guns that were in use at the time, and one of them was a matchlock, in which you had a long cord like a candle wick that you actually put into the gun and lit it, and that is where you got the fire for the gun. So they're quite dangerous, and you've got gunpowder. So, the possibility for explosions when you're using matchlock guns are increased, but ships are often blowing themselves up and killing everybody on board because of the danger of this, using matches. There's alcohol, there's gunpowder. It's not a really good combination. Most of them can't swim. So having a boat and being able to get off a sinking ship in a boat is really important, because you're not gonna jump in the water and swim away.
I guess that's that then.